Yo. Good morning. Freedom Marcher, Freedom Family, Freedom Lovers, and Freedom Fighters. Snapzilla Gorilla in the building. Hitting y'all with this quick live stream. I want to discuss what is going on with this Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney fight. It's not just going to be a fight for Brian Norman Jr.'s WBO belt. Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney are both apparently going to petition to fight for the ring belt, the Ring Magazine belt. And they're also going to petition the WBA and the IBF to have one or both of those belts on the line when they square up in November on a big mega card put on by Turki Al-Sheikh that is, unfortunately going to be in Saudi Arabia. I don't agree with that part, but it is what it is at this point. This is a great move for boxing. This will be a great step forward, right? Because what it does is it consolidates the belts. It unifies the belts so that it is clear who's on top, right? Even if Mario Barrios beats Pacquiao or Pacquiao beats Mario Barrios, and their belt, the WBC belt, would be the only one hanging in the wind, and that would be the only one really in contention, because I don't believe Pacquiao or Mario Barrios would likely want to fight Devin or Brian Norman Jr. But we'll see about that. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully they fight. Hopefully all these belts end up being on the line, and then by this time next year, or a little bit later this time next year, we'll have a unified undisputed champion. And it will be very clear who's on top. And the importance of this is that, we have to stop letting these guys hold up these belts. We got to stop letting them hold the belts hostage. This is why I believe in one belt per division. One belt per division. You fight in tournaments, the top guys below the champion. You always fighting for that top mandatory position, the number one position. And there will be no payola for this sanctioning body, and Bob Arum is in with the WBA, and this guy is in with the IBF. No, fuck all that. No, bump that noise. No, what we need to do is make boxing more competitive for the top guys. And if they don't want to compete at the top level, then go ahead, get out of these divisions, get out of the rankings, and start fighting exposition fights, right? Be like the Harlem Globetrotters. We need a Harlem Globetrotter situation for boxing, because it's getting out of control with these guys holding belts, not fighting top people, not even considering unifying. They take their belt and they go to a higher division, and they still hold it hostage. Well, I come up here with this belt, I can challenge the other guy with this belt. So if I go up to 154 from 147, and I have the WBA or the IBF title, I can challenge the champion of either of those belts, the belt holders, and that's okay. But as soon as the fight is made, as soon as contracts are signed, you lose the belts in that lower division. You just they're gone. And if you move up, if you're a champion like Jerron Boots Ennis, moving up to 154, Well, depending on who he fights, if he doesn't fight a champion next, then there's no point in him holding the belts. You get stripped, right? It's not like, oh, well, let me go up here and see how it works. I'm not going to face a champion. I'm just going to go fight, I don't know, the number 3 or number 2 guy, or I'm going to fight the interim belt holder, and we'll see what happens. No. If you move up to fight another guy, you get stripped either way. You get stripped. So if you lose, that's it. It's a wrap. You know, it's not like, it can't be any longer like it is with Lamont Roach, where Lamont Roach has a WBA title. He moves up to fight Tonka Truck Davis. He wins a draw, or he fights to a draw, which he really won. And that fight's over, but he still holds the WBA belt. Well, is he going back down to 130 to fight and defend his belt? Or is he going to fight Tonka Truck in a rematch? Well, if you fight Tonka Truck in a rematch, that means you are campaigning now at 135 and you need to give your belts up. Why does even Lamont Roach Jr. have them? I can't salute to you guys who come up in here. I can't really, I can't see the comments right now. Can't see the chat. So salute to all those who are in here. No. And as a matter of fact, Lamont Roach Jr. should have been stripped of his title as soon as the fight was official between him and Tonka Truck Davis in that first fight. You no longer have the belt. The belt becomes vacant at 130, and the top guys in that sanctioning body, the top ranked guys, fight for that belt. Now we have title holders at 130 at all times. They're no longer holding the belts hostage. And with Brian Norman Jr., the move they're making, right, to try and fight for these vacant belts, or the belts that should be vacant, it's a great idea. It sets a precedent, right? Well, it's not really a precedent. This actually happened before. This happened before in where, you know, a fighter with a petition to put the belts on the line of where the title holder is not really doing anything in the division. So, but what we need to do is we need to make it stick, right? But the problem is with these sanctioning bodies is that, well, they want to pick and choose when they enforce their rules, right? When they enforce their rules. So if you're a Tonka Truck Davis and you're getting a certain, if Tonka Truck Davis holds your title, your belt, and he always gets in these big fights, and you get 3% of his purse, you get 3% of what he makes, you're going to want to keep him holding the belt. You're not going to want to give that up. You want to get that 3% of that higher purse, of the higher total income from that fight, from him, as opposed to an up-and-comer who hasn't proven himself as a draw yet. So let's say Abdullah Mason gets a belt, and you know, let's say he's a WBA regular, right? And you know, he wants to fight Tonka Truck Davis for that WBA super belt. Well, if Tonka Truck Davis doesn't want to fight Abdullah Mason because he fears that he might lose to Abdullah Mason, he's not going to want to fight him, and he is going to tell the WBA, no, I'm not fighting Abdullah Mason as my mandatory. Fuck that. You can't make me do it. Well, the WBA is going to look at it and say, who are we going to get the most money from? They're going to get the most money from Tonka Truck Davis at this point in time. So they'll be inclined to not force Tonka Truck to fight Abdullah Mason. And that's wrong, right? It shouldn't be like that. If Abdullah Mason has a WBA regular or whatever the minor belts are, or if he's number one position and he tries to petition to get a mandatory fight with Tonka Truck Davis, and Tonka Truck can just say, nah, if you try to make me fight Abdullah, I'm going to drop the belt. Like he's done before. Tonka Truck has done this before. Close that vent if it's too cold. You know, Tonka Truck has done this before. So there's a pattern of the sanctioning bodies picking and choosing when they're going to enforce certain requirements, certain rules, right? Because who's commissioning them? Who's over them, overseeing them, making sure that they operate as they should? Well, the state commissions are supposed to be doing something like that, right? The state, the New York State Athletic Commission, Vegas, or the Nevada State Athletic Commission, California State Athletic Commission, they should be doing something about this, right? Salute to y'all who come in the building. King Fuse Lit House, salute to you. Good morning, man. So the sanctioning bodies, if you are a sanctioning body and you have certain rules in place and you have certain guidelines that are supposed to be enforced, they should be enforced across the board. There should not be an active champion and you are in a division and you're not fighting at least twice a year. If you're not fighting at least twice a year, if you keep trying to duck your mandatories and all that other shit, there should be a zero tolerance duck rule. Zero tolerance. Unless there's some medical condition. If you have a medical condition that is going to take you out of the sport for over 6 months, then you should become a champion of recess and allow the division to continue. Allow that sanctioning body, the fighters in that sanctioning body, the fighter in those rankings to continue on and make progress and continue the momentum and not have any confusion going on. Because as soon as that champion of recess becomes healthy, he can and will, right? And this is the rule. He comes back, he gets to fight the champion. He gets priority. He gets priority, right? He gets to come back. But if you're not champion of recess and you're not defending your title twice a year, at least, then what are we doing? What are we doing? This is how it gets so scrambled in the lower in the rankings. Because the people that need to move most gets them moved up. It's all bullshit. Guys are coming in unranked. You know, they come in unranked in the division. They fight one guy that's maybe like in position 12 or 13. And if they win, they become the number one. It makes no sense. If you're unranked and you fight a guy that's 15 or 12, you beat him, you get that position. You get number 12. That's how it should work. You take the place of the guy who's in the higher spot in those rankings, you know, and then, or maybe even a couple positions higher, but it's just all fucked up, right? And there should be some concessions made for fighters who have an elite status and you know, they've been undisputed in lower divisions. They've been 2 or 3 division champions, and they're coming up. Yes, there is an argument for allowing those guys to fight for those top positions, right? Like Devin Haney petitioned to in order to be able to fight Brian Norman Jr. for the WBO belt. You know, that was what happened. So the sanctioning body allowed it based on Devin's body of work, not based on his popularity Not based on how much somebody can pay. You know, it's based on Devin's resume, Devin's body of work.